Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's edition of Beyond the Ordinary Show. And this evening, we have one of the dearest people in my life, Sara Landon, who has just become such an exceptional teacher. And her presence is just blowing up all over the world, literally. And it's something, Sarah, that you've been teaching for a long time, but I feel like more and more people are just ready and open and are really applying what the channel is guiding through you, what you're embodying, what you're sharing through your embodied experience and the applications of that. And y'all, it's going to be an amazing conversation. We're going to be talking about the success principles of self-realization. And I want y'all to hang out for that as Sarah goes deeper into what that means and how you can apply it into your life. And again, one of the things that I love about Sarah the most is that she really brings through a wisdom that comes from this most positive aspect of really living in that divine essence. We can talk about the things that would interrupt that divinity running through us, that light, but Sarah keeps it at such a high vibrational level. And she holds us there constantly. And before you know it, you're like, of course, and this makes sense. And that's where I want to live. And so getting there through osmosis by being with Sarah is it's quite an amazing experience. And if you haven't experienced Sarah before, I guarantee you that you're going to experience part of that today. And it's with that, Sarah, that I want to welcome you back to Beyond the Ordinary. Thank you for coming back.
Thank you, John. I appreciate that introduction so much. And John is one of the most special, important, loved people in my life. This show and you and your team absolutely changed the course of my life forever several years ago, probably about 8 years ago now, when I first did Beyond the Ordinary. And I have so many people that are in our community that share that they came from BTO, and this place is just magical. The things that happen here on these calls and on your platform and the community that you attract, and who you are, John, as a teacher yourself and a facilitator for higher guidance and higher frequencies and pure love is just so needed in the world. And I think now more than ever, we are seeing how important our own awakening journeys are to opening up things that seemed impossible for so long. I'm really seeing it everywhere. And we're going to talk about it today. But for many of you on this journey who have been part of BTO, or even if you're new to BTO, chances are you have been on this awakening journey for a while. And I want to talk about what's next, because the awakening part is just one part of the experience. And for most people, it's the difficult part. And there's something beyond in this journey that I want to bring to your awareness. And whether it's a concept that's new to you or something you've heard before, we're talking about self-realization. And for me, years ago, I was in San Diego, California, and I was driving by the Self-Realization Fellowship, and I thought, self-realization, what is that? How could that possibly matter to my life? Long story short, I have come to realize that self-realization is everything. It's where it's at. So that amazing life you want, the joy, the peace, the happiness, the harmony, the well-being, the abundance, the love, the freedom, it's all in the process, the journey, your journey to self-realization.
What's your definition of how you're getting that to that point where, okay, self-realization is actually a thing? I dismissed it before, but something is evolving in me where I'm having a different relationship with the significance of that.
Yeah, so self-realization is the integration of every part of you. And so when we really come into that space of celebrating every part of us, allowing every part of us, witnessing every part of you is what makes up the wholeness, the completeness, the perfection, the magnificence that you are. It's the wisdom that you have amassed on this journey. It's the innocent part of you. It's the master part of you. But it is also, to me, it's beyond even this conversation about embodiment so much as, yes, it is embodying the soul, source, God, divine part of you, but it's also integrating all of you, that precious, innocent little child within you, every part of you along the way, your future self, all that you are becoming, yet you are everything you wish to be, you already are. It is this moment of absolute connection with all that is. And we tend to think about it as something sort of elusive. Or
Mhm.
we take this concept of enlightenment. It's only for the monk on the mountaintop that meditates 24 hours a day, right? And self-realization to me is really about living and applying the wisdom that is your wisdom to fully be all that you are in that experience of self-realization. So, if you aren't familiar with my teachings, I channel a collective called the Council. So, you'll hear me refer to the Council quite a bit. The Council has been talking for a while about going from awakening to self realization. And when you first hear that, you might go, oh, okay, that's a new awareness. I'm aware that I've been on this awakening journey, but what is self realization and why does it matter? And then you start to perceive self realization. Oh, that feeling of complete and total harmony with every part of you. It is knowing that every single part of you is loved and worthy, even that maybe awkward child or awkward teenage part of you, or the part of you that would probably do things differently in this life, right? It's every part of you, and it's understanding that every part of you is loved and inviting all of that into this celebration of all that you are. So you become aware of something, then you start to perceive, what is this experience of self-realization? And then you actually have the experience. And that is everything. And then it continues to expand and expand and expand, finding yourself more and more often in that state of being self realized. Now, people think, okay, well, self realized, once I get there, I'm supposed to always be there all the time. And I think one of the biggest things that trips people up is they have those beautiful moments and then they find themselves not in that self-realized state, maybe rejecting a part of themselves or judging a part of themselves or not feeling good enough in some area of their life. And then they start judging themselves for judging themselves and thinking, oh, see, I lost it. No, I'm not really in that self-realized state. I'm not really there yet. What else do I have to do? What else do I have to fix? And it's not about any of that. It's about stop, take a breath, and breathe yourself back into that self realized state, that part of you that is connected to everything, all that is, the part of you that is source, God, the divine, the master part of you that has amassed the wisdom of the ages from all of your experience, and that innocent, playful part of you, and everything in between.
Mhm.
And there's so much power in that. We use this term, oh, I just realized. Realized. I realized. Oh, I just realized. Or, oh, I just had this aha moment, or I just had this epiphany. In those moments, you're really allowing every part of you. You may have been trying to fix some part of you that you think isn't good enough. And in the moment, you just allow it and you come into the integration of every part of you and you go, oh, I had this epiphany. I had this moment. I had this spontaneous experience of just feeling connected with all it is. That's realization. And we can consciously, intentionally align to that state in any moment.
Yeah, that's beautiful,
Why?
Sarah.
Why? Because, in my opinion, it's the best thing ever. It
Mm.
really is. And so, for most of us in our awakening journey, and John and I have had lots of conversations about this because we went through our awakening experience around the same time. We've actually had some pretty funny conversations about the synchronicities of certain things in our lives when we were going through our own awakening experiences. And so, for a lot of people, it's the end of a marriage. the loss of a job, a near-death experience, a disease or terminal disease or life-threatening disease, or the loss of your possessions or the loss of a job title. And that's who you thought you were. And so you're going through life trying to be who you're supposed to be, get the education, buy the house, get married, have the kids, do all these things. You're trying to do it all right and be the best that you can be or what people expect of you. And you're kind of, at least from my perspective, I was going through the motions a lot. And as some of those things started to occur for me in my own awakening experience, it felt like things were falling apart. I know now that they were really falling into place, but at that time, you begin to ask that question, oh my gosh, I'm no longer this person's spouse. Who am I? Or I had a client that explained that her awakening experience really occurred when her her youngest child left for college. And oh my gosh, I'm no longer so and so's mom. Well, I am, but they're not here and it's not consuming my whole life. Who am I? And she went through this really dark awakening experience, realizing her whole life for the past many years had been about her children. Other people have a business and the business fails, or there's a recession, and all of a sudden, you're facing bankruptcy. And who am I if I'm not all these things that I thought I was? That's the awakening journey. And one thing I really want to emphasize on the awakening journey, we talk a lot about the dark night of the soul. The council explains that the time that that dark night of the soul occurs is directly related to how long you are denying love for yourself and your own worthiness. And I could see, and I'm sure some of you can relate, I can look back at the dark night of my soul, and it was the time that I was the most judgmental about myself.
Hmm.
I had left my marriage, left my corporate career, left everything that was safe and comfortable to answer this greater calling I had to this greater purpose, and I had no idea what it was. And everybody kept asking me, "What are you doing? What are you doing? Why did you leave that? What are you doing?" And I turned all that inward, thinking I had screwed up my whole life. And a lot of us can relate to that part of the journey. You get through that, now you're on the spiritual path, let's just call it. But most people don't understand all of that is preparing you for self-realization. We're now in a very expansive experience where so many of us who've been on this awakening journey, whether you've been aware of it for a long time or you're just coming into that experience, awakening is one part of the journey. The fun part is when you start moving into realization.
Yeah, agreed. And again, you've seemed to have navigated that journey of the dark night of the soul pretty gracefully. Actually, comparatively speaking, in the way that I've seen other people navigate theirs, you've handled it quite gracefully. Um, but what you were doing while you were following that is you were still listening to this inner calling. You're still connecting, and you allowed the self-realization part of yourself up to that point to lead, to guide. And so this whole thing about self-realization also is that know that we awaken to as much that is available to us at that time.
Mhm.
And that gives enough space in that self-realization for us to be of these other parts that have denied, that were so siphoned and contained into these little funnels that they didn't have room to express. So the more that we
Mhm.
navigate with it, the more that we start realizing and start listening to that realization from within, we create more and more space. And I believe that many of us, and collectively, we've gotten to the point where that funnel has gotten so expanded that that state of realization and the awareness that we're holding it, which allows us to have compassion. It gives us action taking ability in the most amazing, incredible, and awe-inspiring ways that perhaps we wouldn't have explored before. That we have a different capacity, a much extended capacity to hold that self-realization in a very cohesive field, and to create from there. It's we're in a profound period, I believe.
You said something really important, compassion.
Yeah.
And I know your community, I know my community are of the most compassionate, loving people I've ever met in my life.
Mhm.
And we experience this compassion for others and wanting to create a better world and wanting to help anyone we can awaken to this greater truth that's available to all of us. And the part about grace and harmony in the awakening experience is a realization I had afterwards. But if I would share it, a lot of times we're wanting other people to understand us. We're wanting people to approve or accept our path. But ultimately, we want to feel understood. And we're seeking that from something outside of us. And one of the things the council says is the instant manifestation of understanding is compassion.
Mhm.
Now, bring that all back to yourself. When you understand yourself, when you accept yourself, when you approve of yourself, you have compassion for yourself. We have so much compassion sometimes for people around us, but we don't offer that same compassion to ourselves. And I would say that's a big part of self-realization. That integration of every part of you is to have compassion and understand that part of you that didn't know what you know now, that didn't understand different levels of consciousness and vibration and frequency as you do now. So it's not about other people understanding you. It's about you understanding, accepting, integrating every part of you to come into this level of compassion for yourself. And then, yes, of course, you just reflect that back in the world around you. You extend that out to the world around you, but you've got to let it through you first. You can't have compassion for everyone else and then be in judgment of yourself. It has to go through you first. And so many times people will say, I just don't know. It's just not working for me. I just can't figure it out. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Oftentimes, that's an opportunity to put some space around yourself, just some light around yourself, and come back to yourself and just offer that compassion to yourself. Sometimes that one step will bring you right into self-realization, right into that moment of knowing your own magnificence, your brilliance, every part of you. The example that also comes up a lot, the council does not talk about ego. They really don't. They talk about your magnificent human and integrating that human, that personality that is you, and loving that part of you, the part of you that is a human, that is this magnificent human with this incredible personality and all that you've experienced and the roles you've played as a father and a husband and a grandfather and a spouse and a teacher or a corporate professional or an accountant or whatever it is, right? It is to also love that part of you that is human. And so many times on the spiritual path, we hear people saying, that's the problem. Your human is the problem, right? When we're denying any part of us, we are not allowing ourselves in the realization of all that we are. And so you're here to
Mhm.
be in this human experience, to have a human experience. And your personality and that human part of you is celebrated and is as important in the eyes of Source and your soul as your higher self, soul, divineness. There is no place
Mhm.
else that offers the expansion for your soul that this human experience has. And so when
Mhm.
you start to love that part of you, integrate that part of you, celebrate that part of you, a whole new world begins to open up to you. A whole new world begins to open up to you. We're talking about the success principles for self-realization. We're going to dive more into it, but um, I have put together for your incredible community in the special offer 15 of the success principles for self-realization. And the world, one of them is the world that you see around you is a reflection of what exists within you. So when there's peace and harmony within you, that's what you're contributing to the world around you. That's what you're offering. And when I think about what really is that feeling of self-realization, it's complete and total harmony within yourself. There's no war inside of you anymore. You're not denying, you're not judging any part of you. In in doing so, you're no longer warring with anyone outside of you either. You're not warring with all the wrongdoings in the world. You can come into a higher perspective and really cultivate an inner peace and harmony that allows you to navigate life in a whole new way. And that's really the power of self-realization.
Yeah, and it's beautiful what's getting engendered through that as well. I'm finding that the clarity that's emitted from that self-realization, it's like how direct you are just in your beingness. There's the wiggle that used to be there in the doubt or the confusion. It doesn't run in even in our energetic field, less alone in our actions. And the stability that provides, it's liberating. It's so freeing. Um, there's a couple of things that came up as you were speaking, and I want to get into, well, a couple of things. The being human part, I'm so glad that you mentioned that because a lot of times in our communities, when I hear it spoken of, it feels like there's a devaluing the human experience. So like you can't be that because you're this. And I think you were hitting the nail on the head, and I really want to emphasize it, how precious and how majestic it is to be human. And for us to really do a reframe around that instead of using it as an excuse to pretend that we're not that divinity,
Right.
because we're really invited to the truth of that.
Yeah. Oh, I love that you're saying that. We talk so much about embodying your higher self, and uh, that's a huge part of it. But for most of us at this point, that part's almost kind of easy. And what's actually difficult is you loving the human that you are, you knowing that you are worthy, the human part of you, that yes, we are embodying that incredible soul, higher self, true nature, divine being that we are. That's natural. That's a natural evolution. That is a natural experience if you'll allow it. What's difficult and what makes the journey difficult is when you're judging, condemning, denying the human.
Mhm.
And we all, we all are on this journey. And yes, there were times when we didn't understand levels of consciousness and vibration and frequency like we do now. And so that also allows us to understand why certain things go on in the world. I put together a list of actual practical things for self-realization to share for this call. One of the questions I get a lot right now is, what about all these things that are happening in the world? Well, when you come into realization and you integrate every part of you and you are celebrating the wonderful human that you are and everything that is part of you, and you're integrating that, and you're also integrating your higher potential, your soul, all of that into your experience, you start to see things yourself from a much higher perspective. Again, coming back to having compassion for yourself. I can now look at certain things that occurred in my life with such compassion for what occurred because I can see now that I was in a much different level of consciousness or awareness. And so, of course, those things were part of my experience when I was in a lower vibration or density. But I don't judge it. I can see it from that perspective. And so then when you can do that for yourself, you can do that for all situations or other situations going on in the world. So the first thing about self-realization, the practical application is it helps you align to a higher perspective or a grander viewpoint in all situations. Things aren't terrible, things aren't awful, things aren't happening to you, things aren't out of control. You can actually align to a higher perspective from your own experience of integration and realization and see a grander view in all situations. I have to emphasize this because it was life-changing for me to understand. You cannot be in chaos and harmony and upset and traumatized and horrified by what's happening in the world. And in that same moment, be contributing to peace and harmony and freedom and love.
Yeah.
You have to align with that within you. What you are feeling, the vibration you're in, the frequency you're in right now is what you are contributing to the world. If you are horrified, you are contributing that energy. If you are in total chaos and upset and pissed off, that's what you're contributing in that moment. When you come into a higher perspective and you align to harmony within yourself, you are contributing actually far more powerfully in that moment to harmony and peace in the world. And you are literally making it easier for anyone who is ready to step into their own realization, their own experience of harmony, their own experience of peace. And so I hear this question so often when you're experiencing something and you're observing something, instead of getting triggered, instead of going into judgment, instead of denying love or love for yourself in that moment, if you can go to a higher perspective and align with that within you, that's what you're contributing. And that's how we change the world, not by fighting against. And that's part of realization, that integration of every part of you. So you can align to that higher perspective or that grander view in any situation.
Mm. Yes, so true, Sarah. Thank you for sharing that. I want to get into some of the practical steps that you have because I know they're
Mhm.
going to be amazing. We're going to get into the special offer, and we're probably going to take some live Q&A as well,
Sure.
y'all.
Love it.
We're going to run through all this. And there's an aspect of the self-realization that also causes like, well, I don't know, and kind of is when you start getting into that bigger flow of the self-realization and things start going good. And it's like, and maybe you're channeling your own guides, or there's just knowings that are become available. You start harmonizing in a different way, but there's an aspect that can come in sometimes in that acclamation is like, can I really hold this? Or who am I? Or who am I leaving behind? And what's going to change in my world? Did you have a wobble like that in your self-realization curve, I'll call it. Um, and and how have you stabilized it within yourself that you're in the openness of receiving that divinity within you? Again, that actualization, self-realization that runs through your experience.
Yeah, I love that question. Thank you. People are always asking, what am I supposed to do? How do I do this? How do I do realization? How do I do that? Right? When we talk about these things. And again, it's your natural state. Self-realization, an integrated whole, happy, complete you is your natural state. So stop doing the things you do to deny your worthiness, to doubt that you are in a self-realized state. So don't deny your worthiness, your value, or love for yourself. It's not about actually doing anything. It's about stop doing the thing that's keeping you from your natural state of being self-realized. That is a natural evolution that we go through into realization. You're not going to figure it out. You're not going to suffer your way to it. You're not going to struggle your way to it. You can if you want. It's not really necessary. It's something we allow. And it's a natural evolution that occurs. What slows it down, what stops it in the moment is denying that you're worthy, denying your value, denying love for yourself, denying that you are realized. So if you have never had an experience whatsoever of realization, Think about a moment when you felt so much love. It might be the birth of a child, the birth of a grandchild. It may be a moment you had in nature. It can be anything. In that moment, you did not withhold love from yourself. You did not withhold love from anyone else. You did not deny that you were worthy of this beautiful, loving moment. You did not try to figure out what you had done in your life to deserve or be valued to have such a moment. You allowed the beautiful, precious moment. Now imagine that that moment in your life, the most incredibly beautiful, loving moment you've ever had, now becomes a more natural way of being, your natural state of being, to where you're there most of the time. And if you notice you're not there, no problem. Take a breath and breathe, come back into the moment, come back into your power, and allow that love, that realization, that integration, that celebration of you and your life and this experience. And so, can we live in a fully realized state in every moment? Yes. Is that expected? No. It's okay. Is it possible? Absolutely. Is it going to be that way all the time? Probably not. But just don't deny, first off, that it is possible to be there and to live from that place. You can hold that while also not judging yourself when you're not in that place. Most of us are pretty involved in the modern world. We're in relationships with other people. We have children. We have careers. We have businesses, jobs, calls that we do, meetings that we do, travel that we do, family that we visit, friends that we have. We're living in a pretty modern world for most of us, right? There's going to be moments. There's going to be moments when you've got something going on in your family and it's your opportunity in that moment to go, "Oh, I've just entangled myself here. I'm in an old story. I'm judging myself. I'm judging others, whatever it is. I'm wanting to be understood and my family never understands." Just stop. Feel into, and again, if you're just hearing these words for the first time, it's the awareness that comes first. Once you become aware of something, you start to perceive it. You start to have a perspective of it. And that is what draws the experience to you. And so don't deny love for yourself for any reason. If you remember that thing and you start to be aware of this feeling of self-realization, being fully self-realized as the consciousness you are, the energy that you are, the light that you are, the magnificent human that you are, the master that you are, the soul that you are, and the innocent child and all other parts of you in the moment, you feel that integration. You feel that expansion. Does that make sense to you?
That makes so much sense. Yeah, and I'm seeing it going from the triggers of the automatic responses in the way that we're used to judging or being in fear or just reacting, just in reacting. And by choosing to consciously be with it and going through being present and having the experience and noticing the experience and then choosing a different reaction, soon enough, the natural reaction will be to be in that self-realized state. It will compensate for what's been entrained in our system, in our psyche, and in our habits for so long.
Mhm.
And we start flexing, if you will, energetically in this way that really serves us so much more beautifully. We're really becoming a conduits and receptors for the love that's available for us in all forms here, truly.
Yeah. Yeah. Recently, the council started bringing through an affirmation. And what I experience is this continual expansion in their teachings. And I'll give you an example of that. everything's happening for you. It's not happening to you, it's happening for you. Okay, I can sort of make that shift, right? But when you're willing to make that shift, then the next piece comes, which is it's happening for you to bring you into new levels of your power. Ooh, okay. How is this happening for me to bring me into new levels of my power? That's an expansion of that teaching. You can even look at, where am I giving my power away in this situation? This situation is happening for me to come back into my power, to come into new levels of my power. Then the next step from there is, so I can get clear on what I really want. And the next step from there is, so I can create my reality the way I desire it to be. So one of the things that the council is expanding upon now is being in the now moment, right? Be in the now moment. Everything's in the now moment. All of your power is in the now moment. And then they brought through this affirmation, which is to say, I know who I am. I know who I am. I know who I am. And if you will start to affirm those words, write those words down, I know who I am. To me, that is the best way I can describe self-realization. I know who I am. There's no explanation. I don't have to go, well, I'm a spiritual being having a human experience, and I've had all these past lives, and I grew up here, and now and then I had this awakening, and then I know who I am. And it has taken that now moment thing to such another level for me. I was driving, I was thinking about something, and I was noticing I was getting a little bit stressed or anxious because I was trying to figure out something and how it was going to all come together in a few months down the road. And I went, oh, wait a minute. All my power's in the now moment. I need to come back into the now moment. And the second I came back into the now moment, those words came to me. And I just said, I know who I am.
Mm,
And the fear, the figure it out, the anxiety over it just completely dissolved.
mm,
I know who I am. And I know I'll know what I need to know when I need to know it. And I know I'll have what I need to have when I need to have it. And I'll know what I need to know because I know who I am. And to me, it wasn't until I started to focus my awareness on self-realization, choosing to align myself to those self-realized states, noticing that I was having them, noticing them more, noticing when I wasn't there, and choosing to come back to that place, that those words really aligned to everything for me. That integration of every part of you is that affirmation, the energy of, I know who I am.
mhm.
I know who I am. I know who I am. And from there, which is the practical tip number 3 that I wrote down for today, being true to yourself. Being true to yourself is part of self-realization. Being true to yourself. And that might be as simple as, gosh, I played full out today. I left it all on the table. I had a great day. I am complete. And I go home and I'm ready to just relax. And a friend calls and says, oh my God, you have to come tonight. We're all going to dinner. You have to come. And in that moment, instead of fear of missing out or anything like that, you're true to yourself.
Mhm.
Or the flip side of, I've been working too much and I'm not being true to myself.
Mm,
I'm creating a story of how I have to work more and do more and work more and make everybody else happy instead of, what is being true to yourself? That might mean slowing down, taking a little time for yourself. It's not about being okay with disappointing people. It's knowing that you're being true to yourself. And in that, you're being true to those around you too. Um, we talked about it, but it's about ultimately cultivating an inner peace and an inner harmony that is always available to you no matter what is going on. And we were talking about earlier, going through these different experiences and times that can be challenging in your life. And I wanted to live my purpose. I wanted to live my higher potential. I didn't know what that was, but the essence of the word harmony always sort of called me. If I was in a work situation where I didn't feel like there was harmony, I would feel that misalignment really quickly. If I was in a relationship where I didn't feel there was harmony, and for me, the word really was harmony. If I was in a living situation where I didn't feel harmony, uh, and so to me, that comes back to integrating every part of you is to be in harmony with every part of you. And so you might think, oh, it's my job that's not harmonious. Well, it's just the inner harmony that you're wanting for yourself and the lack of is being reflected in your relationships, in your job. Because when you're true to yourself and you're really aware of being in harmony within yourself and with every part of you, until you realize that integration of every part of you, now your relationships, your workspace, your family dynamics all become harmonious. And so living in a self-realized state becomes so much easier because you're living in harmony within yourself. And that's what's reflected back to you in the experience around you.
Mm.
Yeah. Uh,
Yeah. The powerful
one,
sharing.
yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry. Yes.
Oh, no, no, please.
No, it's a powerful sharing, and you teach as you're living it. This is an awareness that comes through you, and how wonderful that the council is activating these remembrances. It's I know who I am, and you've talked about that over the years. It's like, but I was good, I had to move out of my house, and I only had a certain amount of time, and I didn't know where I was going. I knew when I was up, and then you drop in, and just like, no, I know who I am, even though you might not have said those words at the time. But in that reorganization of your consciousness, of your beingness came in, and you tuned in, and then something that harmonized with what you were harmonizing towards would meet you in relationship to that. And so you landing this so solidly, it's just an indication and proof for me of those reminders over and over again, where you land again, where you would gather yourself against, like, hold on, I know who I am. Let me be present with that, and let me let that guide. And again, you've done that over and over and over and over again. And it's become so stable that I don't see you in the wobble from, not that it was a wobble in the past, but we've all learned to adjust to, what we would call curveballs that are thrown in our life. Um, but you've made them into like these lobbed softballs. They're just like, all right, let me knock this one out of the park and see where I want to hit this one next. Um, and I know you teach that, because I know that as you learn to be with the truth of that that same truth is available for everybody else as well.
Yeah, it really is. And that's important to me. First off, I have always been drawn to channeled wisdom since I was probably about 7 or 8 years old. I I have been drawn to channeled wisdom. I never thought I myself would channel. Certainly did not think that, and probably would have told you, oh, that's the last thing on earth that I'm going to be doing, right? But a lot of us are drawn to spirituality or channeled wisdom, or and something comes into your life and someone shares a book with you or something with you that opens that path for you. I've always been drawn to it. But one of the things that has always irritated me is, okay, but how do you live it? How do
Mm,
you apply it in your life? How do you live it and make it practical? And what I have found is it's actually so much easier than I was making it. And it was in the, I don't know. I haven't experienced it. I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know is the word that, right, is the exact opposite of I know who I am. So catch yourself when you say, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I don't know if I'm supposed to leave this relationship. I don't know if I'm supposed to leave this job. I don't know if I'm in the right place. I don't know what my gifts are. I don't know. Stop. You're just going to get more of that. You're just going to keep drawing that experience to you. And I can tell you that from experience. I know who I am. I know who I am. And when you start to align with that, then the things that reflect back to, oh, yeah, that's it. And so, one of the other things I wrote down as far as practical steps for self realization is to focus on things that are fulfilling and meaningful. What is fulfilling and meaningful? It will lead you right to your purpose, right to the next perfect step, right to the divine perfect time, right to the inspired action. Focus on what's fulfilling and meaningful. When you're in that space of, I know who I am, it's probably pretty clear to you what's fulfilling to you and what is meaningful to you. And so, for most people, like I said, self realization is a very natural experience, it's a very natural evolution when you don't get in the way of it by saying, I don't know.
mm,
I know who I am.
mhm,
And if the next question was, what is meaningful to you? What is fulfilling to you? Those questions we tend to be able to answer.
mm,
When someone says, what's your purpose? And you go, I don't know. I don't even know what I'm supposed to be doing, what I should be doing. I'm on this spiritual path and they're talking about embodiment and self-realization and I'm not there, right? Or the thing I get so often is the council refers to us as masters, and you are. If you're listening to this, you're a master. You are. Don't doubt it. Don't deny it. Don't come up with all these reasons why you're not, because that's exactly why you're also not experiencing realization. You have wisdom that you have attained and you have brought into this incarnation on earth at this time. You are great love. You are great wisdom. You are the light. You are all of it in this magnificent human experience. You're here for a reason and you are a master and you can live as that master. But again, when we're denying these parts of ourselves, we're literally holding ourselves apart from this very natural evolution into self realization. The other thing is do what you love, do what you enjoy, and do what you're passionate about and create.
mm,
We have made so much of our life about what do you do? What do you do? What's your job? What are you working on? Right. And when we come back to what do you love? What do you enjoy? What are you passionate about? It'll tell you right away whether you are allowing love for yourself and your worth and your value. Because if you go, I'm not passionate about anything, I don't enjoy anything, I don't even know what I love, I don't even know what I enjoy, right? You're literally holding yourself in the I don't know. And your opportunity is to come into the I know who I am. And these are the things I love. And these are the things I enjoy. And these are the things I'm passionate about. And this is what I'm creating. You are your own greatest creation. You are always creating, whether you're aware of it or not. You are always creating. My angel wings, my roses, you tell you pretty quickly what I love. Uh, you can tell in the experience around you what you love. what you enjoy. And so to let yourself connect to those things and do those things and create and be aware of being in the creative process, to be in a self-realized state is to also be in the creative process.
Mm.
To be in the creative process. Inspired ideas come to you, inspired action comes to you. You know the next perfect step. The next perfect step comes to you. The obvious, logical next perfect step comes to you. What you want and need shows up before you need it. Part of living in that self-realized state, always in tune to the creative process, allows us to live in that state of joy and harmony within ourselves and with the world around us, such that everything is coming together for you. You're connected to it all. You're in that integrated space with everything, and there's no separation, there's no lack, there's no limitation, there's no fear, there's no worry. You come back to, I know who I am. And the one last thing I really want to share, and we can dive much more into the special offer and take questions. I love all of that. A big shift that I had after really coming into this place of self-realization and being focused on it and coming into that place of integration was something I didn't expect. And I have always felt very drawn to the next evolution of manifestation, the law of attraction. And I always felt like there was something more that really I wasn't able to find out there. And I certainly didn't expect that it was going to be channeled through me or coming through me of what that next piece is, which is actually part of one of the things that we've included in the special offer, which is going uh, into true creation versus manifestation. So, true creation versus manifestation. It's a very different way of creating your reality without lack and limitation. It's not about something that's out there and you've got to focus really hard on it and draw it to you and attract it over here because it's out there, right? It's about really true creation is about that alignment to all that is and that it's all here for you. And you wouldn't even have the awareness of wanting the experience of it if it wasn't already here for you and part of your experience. And so I made that shift from manifestation into true creation. And I started to have some really amazing experiences of that where things that I wanted or needed showed up even before I knew I wanted or needed it. That I was starting to have the experience that really your well-being and your abundance is assured. When you come into realization, when you come into that pure love, when you come into these integrated levels of consciousness, your well-being and abundance is assured. You're living within a state of harmony. So you're in harmony with your own well-being. You're in harmony with your abundance. And I had this moment of realization. And it was a thought, and I noticed it as a thought of what do you want to manifest? What do you want to manifest next? Sort of human thought I had. And there was no judgment of it, but I had that moment and I literally just came into this energy of realization. And it was like, no, wait, there's more to this. And what came to me was, what is the experience you want to have that would be fun for you? How fun would this be versus I want to manifest that, right? How fun would that be? How fun would this experience be? And it's that shift from I need to have this experience in order to not experience the lack I have or the loneliness I feel or the confusion I feel or I'll feel better when, right? It's you're already in integration. You're already in the integration of every part of you. You're in your wholeness, your perfection, your completeness. You're in that self-realized state. And then the only question is, what would be fun for you to experience? What experience would be fun for you? And it's understanding that you're always creating, you are always going to be part of this creative process, but now you're creating from your wholeness, not from any lack or limitation, from your wholeness. And then the question becomes, what would be fun? What experience would be fun? How fun would that experience be?
Mm.
Versus, and before we started, John and I were talking about, the books that I've written and the books that are coming out, my next book that's coming out on July 2nd. And there was a time where I wanted to manifest the experience, and I literally had the vision board where I put the book on it and I put Hay House on it. And I went, I want to manifest that. It was out there, right? And I can witness my own journey of preparing, of getting ready, of gaining experiences and wisdom and things that help me step into being ready for that opportunity several years later when I actually, had my first book published. Now I don't go, oh, I really want to be a published author. Oh, I really want to work with Hay House. I really want. Now I go, what book would be fun to write next?
Mhm.
What experience would be fun to have? And I had this happen not too long ago where I literally went, okay, I'm having so much fun with all of this and it's really amazing. And I've got these books. And then I went, it'd be really fun to be on stage. It would be really fun to be on stage and speak at a Hay House event and share the council with people that have never experienced the council. And almost instantly, the opportunity came. And I
Mhm.
got the question, hey, you want to speak at the next I Can Do It conference for Hay House? And it was just a yes. But it was not, there was no delay. There was no waiting for it. It wasn't like being patient. It wasn't even oh, I've got to prepare. It was, how fun would that experience be? And
Yeah.
it's a whole different way of navigating through your reality and the creative process, again, from that realized state. Does that make sense?
Oh, it makes so much sense. It's an analogy that just keeps coming up for me. It's like you're not going out and having to shop for all the ingredients for what you're wanting to cook. It's like it's all right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
It's all right
Yeah.
there. And you're really creating instead of gathering and piecing it. It's all right there. And it's a powerful distinction. And I'm making it very light in the description and the analogy, but it truly is, and it really falls in alignment with I know who I am. I
Yeah.
think those things that you're
Yeah.
speaking to us so powerfully and profoundly about um, are in great alignment, and you're reflecting to us what's possible here
Yeah.
now for all of us. This is amazing. So let's go into your special offer because again,
Yeah.
you're giving us some steps, and I know in the special offer you're going to go deep in this, like how to apply, how to have realization with each one of those suggestions that you're bringing up, or
Yeah.
the these steps that are available to us. So,
Awesome. I would love to. And I really want to say one thing that just feels so important. I have been in that place where I was begging, please just tell me what my purpose is. I
mm,
felt so called to this higher potential. And I was just begging and pleading with my soul, my higher self, the council. What is my purpose? Please just tell me what my purpose is, and I will go do it. Right. And the council says that your whole reason for being here, your purpose, your higher potential is self-realization. And and they say everyone who is here on the planet at this time is here for self-realization. And you are already self-realized. You are literally witnessing your journey to self-realization, to the wholeness and the completeness and the perfection that you've always been. And you do start to witness all the silly ways that you deny your perfection, that you deny your worth. It almost becomes a little bit comical at some point when you go, oh, wow, I made that really hard.
yeah, you can go back and laugh. That's good.
It helps a lot. But it truly is why we're here. It is everything. Again, it's a natural evolution. It is hilarious to me sometimes. And I'll give you just an example of someone in my life that constantly has to tell stories about things I, didn't do right in my life. And I used to get triggered and I used to get defensive and I used to uh, get kind of ticked off about that. And now I just laugh because it's like, yeah, I know this is hilarious. And when I started to laugh about it, that person stopped doing it. And and then I realized that it was me all along that was in judgment of those parts of me that was so triggered by it, that was so ashamed or embarrassed or, oh gosh, don't tell that terrible story of something I did wrong, right? And then when you have these moments of realization and that happens again, you can kind of laugh. You do laugh about it. You go, I know, isn't that hilarious? That was one of the silliest things I ever did to deny my worthiness and love for myself. And, this whole thing just gets lighter and easier and more fun as you allow yourself into those experiences of self-realization. So, we put together a really special offer for BTO. Uh, I am so excited about this. Our foundational course, whether you are new to the council or you have been part of our community for a long time, our ultimate foundational course is the 15 success principles for self-realization. And I literally list 1 through 15 of these success principles for self-realization. And in this course, I take you through every single one of them, how to live it, practical application for living this wisdom, for applying the success principles for self-realization with stories, with examples, so you can take these things and apply it in your own life and live it. So self-realization becomes a natural evolution and experience and something that you can really witness and enjoy and observe. And any single one of these 15 success principles in any moment offers you the wisdom to navigate your life. You can take any single one of them. We've talked about a couple of them today. Uh, and, for example, all of your power is in the now moment. Well, that's all fine and well and good. How do you apply that?
Mhm.
And most importantly, when you apply that wisdom in your life, how does it change your life? And so this course is what I wish I would have had every step of the way in my awakening journey into self-realization, because this offers you the opportunity to really, in any moment, come back into realization using any one of these success principles in any moment. And when you start to understand all of them and you play with them and you expand upon them in your own life, it begins to change your life in the most incredible and amazing ways. So it is 4 sessions. They are incredible. It includes channeled messages from the council, questions about how to apply this in your life. That course alone, to me, is one of the is my legacy. I that's just the word that comes to me. It is truly uh, what I wanted to give to my community, to myself along the way, and it has been so incredible for me. I also have a book coming out with Hay House on the success principles for self-realization, because it is such a powerful conversation to have about how we live this stuff. And I wasn't seeing it out there in the world. So I wanted to create that and share it with the BTO community. But in addition to that, you also get 5 of probably my most favorite things from the council. We talked about one of them. It is a channeled session on true creation versus manifestation. So if you are ready to go from manifestation into true creation, which to me is where it's all at,
Mhm.
there's a channeled session from the council called True Creation versus Manifestation, one of the most popular topics that we have taught over the years. The second one is a channeled session on choices versus decisions, which is life-changing, allowing things to be choiceless in your life versus being in the energy of making big decisions. If you are facing any sort of thing in your life where you feel like you're being forced to make a big decision or you have to make a big decision, stay in the relationship or leave, stay in the job or leave, don't know what I'm supposed to do, don't know how I'm supposed to deal with this person. If you feel like any of these moments where you're having to make a big decision on something, I really encourage you to go through choices versus decisions, which is one of the channeled sessions that we have included in this special offer just for BTO. This is only through BTO that you get not only the 15 success principles for self-realization, but the foundational bundle, which includes true creation versus manifestation, choices versus decisions, and one of our number one most incredible audio courses of all time, and one of my personal favorites, the Ascended Master Self course. The Ascended Master Self course, just the image of that course for some reason always brings me back into the energy of what came through in that channeled course and the shift that occurred in my life. It brought me into a whole different awareness of what ascension means. And ascension is to go to a higher perspective, but it is about living truly as the ascended master self that you are in your life, to live fully, to love fully, to be all that you are, to really navigate life from a perspective of the master that you are and the wisdom that you have. So it includes the Ascended Master Self course. It also includes their activation, meditation, visualizations, but the Pyramid of Light, probably one of the most requested things, the Pyramid of Light process. And this is a channeled meditation that allows you to move into the Pyramid of Light. It guides you through in a channeled experience how to go to the Pyramid of Light and invite in anyone or any situation in order to speak to someone's higher self, to connect with a loved one on the other side, to see the grander perspective of any situation, to bring that situation into wholeness, to come back into wholeness within yourself. I have done it many, many times. You can take a memory or an experience from the past and bring it into the Pyramid of Light and bring forth the highest outcome, the higher perspective, and return yourself to your wholeness and your perfection through the Pyramid of Light. That's included. And the final thing it includes is the return it to the light visualization, returning everything in your life into the light to be recreated in love. And that is another one of our most requested visualization processes. It's a channeled visualization process. Return it to the light. You can take any experience and return it to the light to be recreated in love. And if you feel stuck in your life, if you feel like things aren't moving forward, you don't even have to be specific about what you are returning to the light, but going through that process and that visualization experience literally returns all things to the light, and they become recreated in love and begin to come into your life through experiences of true creation that are beyond what you could probably ever think to ask for or imagine for yourself. So you get the 15 success principles for self-realization. There's so much included in that. You can read that in a special offer. You get true creation versus manifestation, choices versus decisions, the Ascended Master Self course, the Pyramid of Light, and the Return It to the Light visualization, all for $147, which is about half of what it would be if you went and tried to buy all those things. But we really wanted to take the foundational must have of the council's teachings, from visualizations to channeled sessions to channeled courses and the success principles, to really give you everything that you need to live this, to apply it, to create your best life, to be your best self, and to really come into realization and integrate all that you are and live from that place where you truly experience what it's like to celebrate every part of you. And then everything in your life becomes, at least in my experience, something that you celebrate. You can celebrate your friends, you can celebrate your families, you can celebrate your experiences, you can celebrate things in ways that I know for myself I couldn't before. It was the missing piece for me. So I hope that's helpful. I'm so excited about this special offer, and I hope you will all go check it out, the special offer page. I know it's there. I think it's also beyondtheordinary.com/Sarah 32. Have we
Beyond the
really done
Ordinary
it
Show,
32
beyond the
times?
ordinary show.com
Yeah,
32. Yeah, Sarah
yeah,
32. Find it
yeah,
there. The
yeah.
link's in the chat box also, y'all. It's
Yeah.
$147. Something that you said, and I really want to touch on it because it's come up for me several times as you've been speaking about these different components and sections and bringing it into the light even. But the celebration part of bringing them to light also bringing in that harmony into the light. There's a Sanskrit word for having such appreciation for another person's joy, another person's love by witnessing another in their expression of self-actualization and in
Mhm.
relationship to others in that as well, that you can't help but to start recognizing and having joy for other people's joy, for other people's success, for other people's
Mhm.
triumphs, and bringing that into light. It becomes this organic mechanism that just starts happening, that is, you do that within yourself and you witness it within others and you celebrate that within yourself and others, that it just creates more of it.
Yeah.
And so that celebration is something that's just it starts putting us in states of awe and wonder of what's possible,
Mhm.
and our receptivity and awareness of just how amazing this
Yeah.
human experience really is.
Yeah.
So this is an amazing offer, Sarah.
Perfectly said.
Thank you so much for putting all
We're
this
super
together.
excited about it.
Yeah, it's like I went into the Apple store and I got the best things that I can bring in for
So.
technology. And it's like, all right, I get to go home and play with this and
Yeah.
to truly create, because I have the tools to truly create with right here.
Yeah.
I know who
Yeah.
I am when
I
truly
know
create.
who I am.
Y'all, this is epic. I'm so excited for what's being presented. And Sarah, what you're is just thank you just for your beingness. And for your generosity. The link for the special offer is in the chat box. If you're listening to the replay, there's a link right underneath the replay video for the special offer. You can also find it on beyondtheordinaryshow.com/Sarah 32. Take you to the same places. Amazing, Sarah. A lot of comments coming in, a lot of people writing in. April, thank you for putting it in there again. We have Linda over hand raised. If a couple of y'all want to raise your hand also, we can probably go through a couple of little more Q&A. But
Yeah.
I'd love
Let's
to
do it.
open up to if you're ready. Linda, let's start with you. Welcome.
Hi, Sarah. It's lovely to talk to you. Thank you, John, for choosing me as well. Sarah, how do we get through the grief that you feel when a spouse dies? And how do you keep your light keeping on inside, especially when it was a very rough ordeal?
Yeah. Well, so much love to you.
Thank you.
We have so many people in our community that have lost a spouse or loved one or child recently. In my own experience, to my own self-realization, my brother's transition was really the thing that opened me up to higher consciousness and love in a way I had never experienced it before. And so, one of the things that I'm feeling very strongly, but uh, when someone transitions, we have this awareness through our physical senses that they're gone. And when we view our reality that, oh, they're gone, I can't see them, I can't touch them, I can't talk to them, I can't hold them, they're gone and they're gone forever, right? And the more we create that separation, the deeper and deeper and deeper into grief that we go. And of course, you honor your experience and all the wisdom in the world and the grandest perspective. You're still going to have moments when you want to hold them and you want them here in this human experience with you. There is no death, it is a transition. And when someone makes their transition, they're releasing the density of the body. They are just as here as they ever were, in fact, more so, because nothing separates you. And so honor your time of feeling and being aware that this transition has occurred and this change has occurred, and also be aware that you can be honoring how you feel and feel peace. You can honor what you're feeling and know that there is still a sense of joy. And when we start to honor those feelings, yes, I miss my loved one and I love them and I wish I could touch them, but I can still find peace. I can still be aware of joy. We start to raise our vibration out of grief, and we start to connect to our loved one where they are. And I've had so many experiences of this recently, of people in our community that are starting to experience their loved one now in higher dimensions of consciousness. And they're starting to play and create, and they're continuing their relationship in those higher levels of consciousness. And so just to be aware that this wasn't the end of your relationship or your marriage. This is now a new journey with your spouse beyond the physical plane in a higher level of consciousness. And you can start to tune in to the awareness of where they are now and have a relationship with them there and connect with them there and play with them there and experience intimacy and love and connection in that place. And if you will be aware that that's possible, you start to perceive their energy where they are now, and you start to connect to them and have those experiences. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, thank you very much.
So, what is your spouse's name?
Jim.
Jim. So, I would encourage you to start creating these moments or sacred spaces where you maybe take a picture of Jim and you close your eyes and take some deep breaths, and or you can keep your eyes open and look at a picture of Jim. It also, if you don't have a picture or you don't want to look at a picture, think about a time when you really loved him the most, or you really did something fun together, or something that was really funny that you experienced together, a really loving moment. And I like to do this particular process with my eyes closed. And you think of that moment with that person when you really loved them the most and felt that love. And as much as you can, remember what they looked like. What were they wearing? What else did you see? What did you hear? Anything that you noticed about a smell or a taste or anything else, and just really immerse your physical senses in that moment until you start to feel his presence and you start to feel his love. And I like to sort of feel it all around me, but especially like holding me. And when you start to feel that energy, that awareness, that presence, that love, you'll feel it's very expansive. And ask him for a message. Jim, what is the message you have for me? And then just start writing. Take out a journal and just start writing. And you might think, oh, I'm just writing what I think Jim would say to me. That's okay. Just keep writing. Start this practice of connecting with him where he is now and asking him for messages and asking him for guidance. You can also play around with this. You might do that process, take some deep breaths, go into your heart, think of a time when you felt really connected to Jim, feel him all around you, and then ask him to put his arms around you. And you might even just do it yourself and put your arms around yourself and ask him to come into your hands, into your arms, and ask him to hold you or to hug you. or ask him to kiss you on the forehead or on the cheek. And just allow yourself to start connecting to him in this place and being open to these experiences. And you might start having spontaneous experiences, profound experiences. You might have little subtle experiences, but just start to tune to him where he is now and continue your relationship with him where he is now. It's not the end of anything. Does that make
Thank you.
sense to you?
Yes.
Yeah. Love you,
Thank
Linda.
you. Thank you, John.
Thank you,
Thank
Linda.
you.
It's Sarah, I'd love to continue just a little bit more. It's in the transition. A lot of times in the transitions, there may still be like points of contention, things that were unresolved before the transition happened. And as we go into the space and the communication, I'd love it if you share, perhaps add to these steps, how you would connect to bring in the resolution, the compassion, and the higher state of understanding, even after someone has left their physical body.
Well, first off, I would say the two most powerful processes for that are the pyramid of light.
Mm.
Whether they are living or have made their transition, the pyramid of light literally guides you to going to a sacred place in the pyramid of light, calling in their higher self and having that conversation there, resolving it there. The other process that is absolutely the most powerful process for doing this is the return it to the light visualization, because you're taking anything and you're taking that moment and you're returning it to the light, recreating it in love. And so both of those things that are included with the special offer, the pyramid of light process and the return it to the light process, will support you in having those conversations, healing those moments, bringing yourself back into wholeness. And we think because someone has made their transition, they're gone. They're just as here as they ever were. Say what you want to say. I had an experience, and John knows my significant other. I had this experience early on when we were dating, and I got really, really upset and hurt by something. And I was sad. I felt hurt. I felt, um, I've mentioned before that, survival instinct, when we don't feel connected, literally it can feel sometimes like we're dying or we're not safe, because I didn't feel safe. I felt hurt and I was really upset. And I did this same process that you'll discover in the pyramid of light, and similar to what I explained to Linda. And I went into my office and I took out some paper and I asked his higher self for a message. And I was like, what message do you have for me? And then I just started writing. And I had the voice in my head that's like, oh, you're just telling yourself what you think he would say. You're just telling yourself what you want to hear. But I just kept writing. And when I got done, I read it back to myself out loud. And I was crying. And I was so in a state of love. All those feelings I had were gone. I felt loved. I felt safe. I understood. I felt compassion for myself. I felt compassion for him. The whole energy, the negativity, the upsetness, everything was gone. And a few days or weeks, I don't remember now how long it was after that, I said, remember that night? I said, I asked for a message from your higher self. Do you want me to read it to you? And so I went and got the white printer paper with my penmanship. It was about 5 pages, but there was probably about 20 words on each page. I wrote all big, and so I'm reading this, and I look over at him, and he's got tears coming down his face. And after I got done, he said, "That's exactly what I wanted to say to you that night. That's exactly what I wanted to tell you." And then he said, I think my higher self said it better than I could have. And so I have learned from that experience to go to this process instead of going into grief, instead of getting all upset, instead instead of working myself into a head case. Anybody's higher self is available to you in any moment. The pyramid of light process is a really powerful process to learn how to connect to that part, or remember how to connect to our higher selves. It's really when people ask me about gosh, what's the word? Telepathy. This is it. This is the process to communicate with anyone, anywhere, at any point in time. And we all can do it. And so that grander perspective, that place with you and anyone where the truth is there's only love, is available to you in every moment, whether they're still in physical form or have made their transition. We have learned the habit of going into the story, going into being a victim, going into the who wronged me. It is a habit. It is not the truth of you. It is not how you meant to navigate this human experience. It is a habit. It is likely a habit that you learned unaware or unconsciously from someone else who had the habit. It's a habit to go into the, oh, poor me, or the, oh, they did this to me, or the, I'm so mad about this. It's a habit. It's not who you really are. In any moment, the higher perspective, the place where there's only love, the highest truth is available. And it's about creating the habit of going to that natural state of being able to connect and communicate with anyone's higher self or with your loved one in any moment, irregardless of what's going on or whether they're on this side or the other.
Yeah, so beautiful. And I love your story that you shared. Just the compassion that came through, that showed up.
Yeah.
Passion for self is let me pause, let me listen. Compassion in sharing it. Kind of letting him off the hook for anything that may have been resolved. Just the awareness of that. So powerful. And my guidance is always, and it comes so strongly, it's like coming back to the awareness that once love is given to us, it can never be taken away, ever. It only grows. It fills us up and it expands us. But again, it's habit that wants to diminish it because something nicked at a tender part of us. And if we can just pause and remember, wait, I've received love from that person or that situation before, so let me tune into the truth that is expanding from there and see what's really there. And you're pausing in that. And again, I love you taking people into the pyramid light. And I can feel how powerful that process is. Y'all, it's amazing. The special offer, again, April put the link for the special offer in the chat box, y'all. Click on the blue link or go to beyondtheordinaryshow.com/Sarah32. It'll take you to that same page. Sarah, do you have time for another question? Can we take one more?
One more.
Okay.
Sure,
Paula,
happy.
let's go to you. Welcome to the call. R1+7, I wanted to call on YouTube, but we're going over. I apologize. Paula, let's go to you. Welcome in. What is your question?
Hi, Sarah. I actually don't have a question. I just wanted to thank you so much, Sarah. I receive the daily quotes every single morning, and I swear they're like a shot of espresso. I just feel like I read it, and it's an upliftment. It's an alignment. It's a coming to the realization that I am creator, and I just cannot explain to you. I don't keep them to myself. I forward it to my friends and family. And so thank you. And I'm so grateful, John, that I get to say thank you to you because every morning you have a girl in Jersey being grateful to you.
Thank you.
This work, because I mean, the ripple effect is, it's beyond.
Yeah.
So
thank you.
Great.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well, sending my gratitude right back to Jersey.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Paula. Love you. Thank you.
I love you too.
Blessings, love. Oh my God, amazing. Christine Crawley, and Rosie, both were typing, just saying about how amazing your work is. And I'll read Christine's. I have all of the courses and meditations in Sarah's office. They're so powerful and transformative. If you feel drawn to follow the energy, it will change your life! Exclamation. And since I got there, let me go ahead and go into Rosie. Rosie, Sarah's amazing. I recommend all her materials to everyone, as do I. I can't speak it highly enough about how practical and transformational her and the council's wisdom is. You're worth it. Don't hesitate. It will change your life. Beautiful. And I hear that about you all the time. Oh my God, Sarah's amazing. Oh my God, your friends. Oh my God, I get to talk to her. Oh my God, she's remarkable. Oh my God, she has changed my life. I hear it over and over and over and over again. So thank you for the courage it took and the conviction and the listening to get to that place of self-realization, to get to the place of illuminating your light and just being just this fountain of that love that you share in so many different ways. It's so wonderful what you put together for all of us, the way that your presence is felt, and just in that, how it transforms us and guides us into believing what else is possible in all the goodness that this world has to offer. So my friend, thank you. You're a gift.
Oh,
thank you for being on the call.
Thank you. That means so much to me. I truly, thank you. You have changed my life. You are such an important part of my life, this community, April, your team. This work wouldn't be in the world if you hadn't been part of my journey. I know that it changed my life almost overnight, the very first time I was on BTO. And every time I'm here, it just adds to the love and the joy and the expansion. And I'm so grateful. So thank you for what you do. And I truly believe all of us, self-realization for me has also brought me into a capacity to love and experience love and feel love that I didn't even know was possible. And it is just the best thing ever. So thank you. Thank you. I love you. And to the community and the team, I love you. Thank you for allowing me to play and create with you today. And I just, wow, so grateful. Thank you.
And I just have to put my 2 cents. Your work would have come out and it would have been spectacular and grown in so many ways without me. So I'm just grateful that we have gotten to play and truly create together. Truly create.
It was divinely orchestrated. That is for sure. So thank you.
I love you. Thank you. I love you.
Too.
Thank you, Paula. Sending love to Jersey, sending love to all of y'all listening all over the world. Y'all are truly blessings. Remember who you are. I see you. And what a blessing it is to be here with you. I look forward to seeing y'all on the next call. Bye, y'all.